And we're back. So, the current generation of gaming hasn't been amazing, but I kind of want to give my take on it and defend current generation of gaming. So, gaming as far as the current generation of consoles, the PS5, Xbox Series X, and most recently the Nintendo Switch 2 have been out. Well, PS5 and Xbox Series X about 2020. So it's been almost just shy of 6 years. And, a lot of people complain about how mid it's been. And to be entirely honest, it's been a little mid, but it's also, a transitional period when it comes to gaming. So, what do I mean about that? Well, since the era of the PS4 and Xbox One, the consoles have started to kind of gain like similar architecture from like a CPU, GPU standpoint towards PCs. And honestly, even way back as the Xbox 360 era, a lot of our consoles have become closer to what PC architecture is. One of the things that crippled the PS3 in the multi-platform space is that the cell processor was quite a tough thing to develop for. And since then, all of the manufacturers have been working with other chip manufacturers like Nvidia and Intel to create consoles that are more akin to PCs. So a lot of our games are available multi-platform. And I guess that's the biggest complaint with this generation. We just haven't had that many exclusives. We've had one Halo in the Xbox Series X generation when on the Xbox 360. We also had Halo 3, Halo Reach, Halo 3 ODST. And then on the Xbox One, we had Halo 4, Halo 5. They weren't the best, but we had more. And Xbox Series X has been out for like I said 6 years now, and we've had this kind of mid Halo Infinite live service, not live service, whatever campaign kind of situation. And then on the PlayStation side, Naughty Dog hasn't released a game yet. It's been 6 years. We had Ghost of Yotei as a follow-up to Ghost of Tsushima. Earlier in the generation, we had Forbidden West. So PlayStation's doing good, but I guess the length of time we've had with the consoles necessitate more games. But the big thing that I kind of want to be a proponent for is that this allowed third-party developers to really shine and create amazing new franchises and kind of create this multi-platform ecosystem across the board. And one of my favorites from this current gen is Elden Ring, and this came out most recently in 2022, and their follow-up DLC maybe 2 years ago. And then Night Rain, and a lot of people are like super into those, the Souls-like, Soulsborne style games. That's created a whole new subgenre that people are creating amazing titles with, like Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers, Black Myth Wukong, or even Lies of P. And that's like one of the big things about this generation is that we've gotten third-party developers who aren't tied down to a console really make a lot of money making multi-platform games and inspiring other developers to create games that are in that vein and really like spread their wings and get really creative with stories that's never been told before using different mechanics that we're not used to and create subgenres on subgenres on subgenres, and we'll get like side-scroller Souls-likes like Dead Cells or Hollow Knight, or most recently not really a Souls-like but still one of those brutally difficult games, Cuphead side-scroller. And this current generation of games kind of allows that environment to continue to exist. And even more recently, Capcom's really been cooking with titles like Resident Evil Requiem or Pragmata, and that allows us to get new content, not just from our main publishers from Sony and Xbox, but also from these third-party publishers and developers. And it allows a more healthy and competitive ecosystem, not just relying on these manufacturers to make games for us, but allowing all these other companies to make indies or even AAA titles like this one that is like a bet no one thought anyone was gonna make. And now it came out, it's really fun. The mechanics are unique, a lot of puzzle and third-person shooter combat integrated together, plus like a Metroidvania style, kind of semi-Metroidvania exploration mechanic built in. And one of the bigger things that is happening in like the ecosystem is that Microsoft and PlayStation have been consistently releasing first-party games, exclusives, onto their competitor console like Xbox. Most recently, they released some numbers for Xbox and how much those games have sold on PlayStation consoles, and it's pretty good. It's keeping like the competition healthy and allowing all these games to be experienced by people on both sides of the aisle or even in PC. PlayStation has been very proactive, most recently on their PlayStation side, getting them onto PCs, but unfortunately, they're trying to roll that back, so we'll see what happens in the next generation. And on the Switch 2 side, because of the slowdown in exclusives and the parity in consoles and PC and actually the Switch itself, they've been able to kind of catch up that development, and we've gotten games like Resident Evil 9, like Cyberpunk 2077, or even Chronos New Dawn, and most recently again Pragmata, looking amazing on a handheld. That's not the size of a small laptop, it's this thin handheld console that could run games pretty decently. And on top of that, we got a very healthy set of remakes. This is like the time, especially during PS4, we had RE2 and RE3 remakes, and even Shadow of the Colossus, and games like those being rebuilt by third-party studios, that we are able to kind of catch up old games and rebuild them for these current consoles and get them looking, probably the peak of graphic fidelity at the moment. Realistically, I don't know if graphics are gonna get better. There's like the uncanny valley happening already, that anything that goes higher than this will kind of look funky. So it's good that we catch up older games and kind of get them to this level of PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X kind of level quality. And we've had standouts like the Dead Space remake looked amazing, the RE4 remake was outstanding, even the most recent Silent Hill remake, Silent Hill 2, and I believe we're gonna get the other ones, hopefully. So yeah, that's my take. The current generation hasn't been amazing, but I feel like it's fine. It's allowed for a lot of things to develop and a lot of games to get caught up onto current generation power and current generation graphical fidelity, mechanics, and really like have people across all the consoles, PCs, even handhelds experience some of these old classics. One of the outstanding ones that came out recently are the Final Fantasy remakes, and coming up soon, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the Nintendo Switch 2. That looks outstanding. Even if it runs maybe 30 frames per second on handheld, it's still pretty decent. The game looks amazing, and it's on a handheld, you could take it anywhere. Like 10 years ago, you wouldn't even think about having something like that. I think we had like the 3DS. The PS Vita looked good, but not like this good, but we're getting there. And I think not having too many exclusives and allowing all these companies to profit off their old franchises, bring them up to the current level of gaming, and really allow the current generation of gaming to kind of expand its library using old franchises and not push a lot of new content is good, but also bad, and kind of like a creativity kind of thing. But then that allows third-party studios like Tango Gameworks, From Software, and all these other companies like Capcom really like put their foot out there and make something new for us to experience. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments if the current generation of gaming is mid or not. Bye.